Okay, welcome back to my channel. This video, I want to look at a question from June 2025, and we are going to look at a question on budgets and obviously on the preparation of the data collection schedule. So in terms of our question, we're going to look at question 6, which reads that the following incomplete and incorrectly prepared cash budget was presented to you by the owner of Intellect Engineering Private Limited for the third quarter of 2022. So on our question, we are given the information of the information of July, August, September, and then we are given the opening balances up to the expenses that we have. Then additional information also, we have additional information given that we need to go through before we start to answer the question. And then on the required part, it reads correctly prepare the cash budget for Intellect Engineering Private Limited for the third quarter of 2022, clearly showing the calculations for receipts from debtors for the third quarter of 2022. So our question is for 30 months. So and this is going to be our answer section as we are going to have our cash budget for June, July, August, and September only. So in terms of our cash budget, we're going to start with the figure for cash sales. So we are going to say cash sales. And then for cash sales, if you refer back to the information given, you'll see that we are given the sales on this part. And then if we check, we are concerned about July, August, and September. And then we are given that 70% of sales on credit. So if 70% on credit, then we're going to say 100 minus 70, you get your 30%, which is supposed to be now on a cash basis. So this is our cash. So this is the one that we want to calculate in our cash budget is our cash sales. So we are now saying 30% cash sales, if you convert to a decimal, becomes 0.3. So basically, we are going to multiply the total sales that we have by 0.3. So we multiply by 0.3 for July, 150 times 0.3, you get the cash sales for July. So if you calculate like that, you get 135,000. So we are going to have 135,000 in July. Then you go to the next one, whereby we are now saying 486,000 for August, and then you multiply by 0.3. So for August, we're going to get 148,400. So we get 148,400. 148,400. 148,800. We can just correct this. So with that now, we calculate again in terms of our September, we multiply it by 0.3. So for September, if you multiply by 0.3, you're going to get your answer is 159,750. 159,750. So with that, this is the information that we have in terms of our calculation. So here we're saying 159,750. So on the second part, we have got a receipts from debtors. So on the receipts of debtors, we go back and see what is the instruction about receipts on debtors. We know that credit sales are collected as follows. We have got 50% of credit sales are collected in the month of sale. Then we've got 30% of credit sales are collected 1 month after the sale. 50% of credit sales are collected 2 months after the sale. Then we've got 5% of all credit sales are written off as recoverable. So basically, that's the information that we have in terms of credit sales. So with that now, we try to see, remember, we are given that 70% of sales are credit. So we are going to calculate the credit sales according to the information given. So remember our months we can start from July, August, and September. Then we multiply and find the credit sales that we have. So with that, we see that for July we are going to multiply by 70% our credit, so we multiply by 0.7. 0.7 as a decimal to get the credit sales for July. Then we multiply again 0.7 for August, and then we multiply 0.7 for September, and then we see what we get. So for July, for July, if you say 450,000 times 0.7, you are going to get your credit sales as 315,000. So you're going to indicate in your schedule is 315,000. So you come to your receipts from debtors and indicate the credit sales for July is 315,000. Then you go to for the next one, which is our August. For August, you're going to say 496,000 times 0.7, and you're going to get your answer is 347,200. So we have 347,200. And then for September, you are going to multiply your 2,500 times 0.7, and you are going to get your credit sales as 372,750. So, of course, we've got also credit sales for June and May, which we need to calculate. So, for May and June, we can go back and see for May, we are multiplying again by 0.7, whereby you're saying 357,000 times 0.7. And then for May, you're going to get 249,900. 249,900. Then for June, we are going to say 402,000 times 0.7. It will get 281,400. So basically, this is what we have in terms of a proportion of our credit sales. So from there, we now go to the receipts of the from the receipts from debtors to see what we are supposed to receive in terms of their proportion. So if you check in terms of the credit sales allocations, we're told that 50% of credit sales are collected in the month of sale. So we go in the month of sale, and then we multiply by 50% of the credit sales will be received in that very month. So if you come to our schedule, we are going to multiply by 50%, and 50% basically, if you convert our 50% to a decimal, it is equal to 0.5. So basically, we are saying 0.5 times we are saying for example, we have got July. We are saying July, what is going to be received in July. So it's 315,000 times 0.5. Then we put in this column for July. The July credit sales being received in July is 50%. So you're going to say 315,000 times 50% to get 157,500. Then for August, which are going to be received in August. So we say August, and then we come again here where we have our August. So we say 50% times 347,200, and you get your answer is 173,600. Then we go to your September. We say credit sales for September being received in September. You say 372,750 times 0.5, then you get 186,375. So basically, this is what we have for that part. In terms of credit sales that are going to be received in the very month. Then we go to the next section, which is saying 30% of credit sales are collected 1 month after the sale. So we are saying credit sales for July will be 30% will be received in August. 30% of August, credit sales for August will be received in September. So basically, that's what we have. So remember, the months that we are concerned with is July, August, and September. So we can start from the ones for June. 30% of the credit sales for June will be received in July. So we say 0.3 times 2, and 0.3 is our 30%, or we can just say 30% times 281,400. The answer that we get is those are the sales that are going to be received in July. So we say June, and then we put them in July. So with that calculation, we see that we say 30% of 281,400. You get your answer is 84,000. 84,420. Then the ones for July, which will be received in August, is 30%. So say 30% of 315,000. And you get for the answer is, yeah, we'll try to see what we get there. You get your answer is 94,500. So the ones for August, credit sales for August, which will be received in September, which is 30% of 347,200. And then you put your answer is, your answer obviously will become 104,160. So basically that's what we have on that part. And then from there, we've got the next instruction that we have is saying 50% of credit sales are collected 2 months after the sale. So basically we are saying the ones for May, 15% of the credit sales for May will be received 2 months after. So we're saying 1, 2. So will be received. So we're going to start with the May credit sales, then we calculate 15%, and then we put them in the July column. So if you come here, we are saying the ones for May, 15%. So we are saying 249,900 times 15%, and then we put them in the July column. So we calculate to see that you're going to get your answer is 37,485. And then the ones for June, 281,400 times 15% will be received in August. So we put them in August and we get 42,210. And then for July, credit sales for July, that will be received in September, 15% of 315,000. You're going to get them as get your answer is 47,250. So basically on this part, we are saying the ones that are going to be received in August, we are saying the June credit sales 15%, 281,400 times 15%. You get your answer is 42,210. So with that now, we can now calculate to get the total receipts from debtors. We can just underline here. So we are going to say our column for July, if you add 37,485 plus 84,420 plus 157,500 to get a total of 279,405. So we do the same for August. We add everything that we have in the column for August, and we are going to get your answer is 310,310. Do the same thing for September. You add everything that we have in the September column. We are going to get your answer 337,785. So these are the receipts that we have that we are going to carry again to the column for the cash budget that we have as receipts from debtors. So for July, the figure that we got for July is 479,405. And then for August is 310,310. So total receipts for September, we got 337,785. So we are going to put our 337,785. Then from there, we check, we have got also proceeds from sale of machines. So if you go to our additional information, you'd see that we have on this point in August 2022, an old factory machine will be sold for 10,000 cash. So it will be sold in August. So we go in August, that's where we're going to put our 10,000 as a receipt again. So basically that's what we have, and we refer back to our cash budget, whereby we have got 10,000 in August. Then with that, we'd see that according to information that we're given there, we do not have further receipts that took place. So in that case, we can close off to find the total that we have for total receipts. So if you add in this column, 135,000 plus 279,405, you're going to get your answer is 414,405. And then you also say 148,800 plus 310,310 plus 10,000, you get your answer is 534,110. Then in the last column also, if you add, you are going to get a total of 497,535. Now then we are going to the second part, whereby we will need to calculate the total payments. For the total payments, we start with the cash purchases. So what do we have in terms of cash purchases? So we refer back to the question and see what we have in terms of that. And of course, we see that we are given cash purchases 130,000 July, August 133,000, and then we've got September 136,500. So if you look in additional information, there are no corrections that are there in terms of cash purchases. So it means the figures that we are having in the initial cash budget that we are given are correct. So you can take 130,000 as it is, 133,000 as it is, 136,000. So we can just maybe make a correction in terms of 136,500. This figure is supposed to be 136,000. So to be our total cash available. Sorry, our purchases, which is cash purchases. So cash purchases for September, as a correction, is supposed to be 136,000. So we refer to our cash budget, whereby we have put our cash purchases on this part. So we are saying in the first month, which is July, we have cash purchases as 130,000. Then we have got 133,000. Then we have got 136,000. So basically, that's what we have on that part. And then we check in terms of the next one, which is wages paid. So in terms of wages again, we see that we are given wages paid is 125,000 for July, August 126,000, September 127,500. We go to additional information, see that we've got nothing that we are told of the wages. So it means the figures that we are given here are correct. So we are just going to transfer the figures that we are given as wages paid. So we come to our cash budget. So we see this month that we have 125,000. And then we have got 126,000. And then in the last column, we've got 127,500. And then we have got our general expenses. Check in terms of our question. If you go to the initial cash budget, we're given the general expenses as 120,000, we give it 130,800, 140,100. So we check according to additional information. Do we have anything to do with general expenses? So if you come to this point, it reads that the bookkeeper included depreciation of 35,000 in the general expense each month. So we have got 35,000 that is inside the general expenses that needs to be removed for depreciation. Remember, depreciation is a non-cash item. It's not supposed to be shown in the cash budget. So basically, we are going to subtract 35,000 each and every month. So if you come in our cash budget, you see that we've got 120,000 for July, we subtract 35,000. And when you subtract, you are going to get your answer as 85,000. So we've got 85,000 for 85,000 that we have for July. So July, 85,000. And we go to the next one, which is August. For August again, we've got another expense of 113,800. Then we subtract 5,000. So we're going to get a general expense of 78,800. So we put 78,800. You go to September. For September, we subtract again 35,000 from general expenses of September, 114,100 minus 85,000. Then we get your answer is 79,100. 79,100 is the figure that is supposed to come on this part. Then on the next part, we have new machine purchased. So try to see what we have in terms of the new machine that was purchased. So we see that it is a new factory machine will be purchased cash for 50,000 to replace the old one during the month of August. So this is going to happen in the month of August. So we're going to only enter in the August month, since that's when it only transfers. So we go to August and put of 50,000. So we see that we have got 50,000 in this month for machine purchased, which is our August. Then lastly, according to our information, we've got rent paid. So check in terms of rent paid. Of course, if you go to our information, we're given it as 30,000, 30,000, 30,000 in each and every month. That is July, August, September. But if you go to additional information, we've got a point that we have here, which reads the rent will increase by 25% from August 2022, which means from August onwards, it had already increased by 25%. So it means for the rent that we are given 10,000, it's only going to apply for July. Then August, it increased by 25%. July with 10,000. And then if you do that now, you multiply now by 25%. Remember, before the increase, it was 100%. And then 25% was increased to make 125%. So obviously, we are now saying 125%, convert it to a decimal, you divide by 100, then it becomes 1.25. So if you say now 30,000, 30,000, we're going to multiply it by 1.25. So we say 30,000 times 1.25. Times 1.25, and then you're going to get your answer is 37,500. So this is the new rent paid. So that's we go and enter is 37,500, 30,000 first month and 37,500 afterwards. So we have basically that's what we have. And then with that now we can close. since we have exhausted the payments that we have in the question. So when we close, we are supposed to add all payments that we have inside the box for the first column, which is for July. So if you say 130,000 times 125,000 plus 85,000 plus 30,000, then you get a total of 270,000. Then we do the same thing for August, and we get a total of 425,300. We add again in the last column for September, you're going to get your answer is 380,100. And of course, we are supposed to show them as negatives since all payments are outflows. So to arrive at our figure for cash surplus or deficit, we are going to say cash surplus or deficit is equals to total receipts minus total payments. So basically that's what we have on that part. So now we are saying in the first column, we are saying total receipts for July, 135,000, then we subtract 370,000 to get our net, which we are going to get as a positive 44,405. So we go to August. So in August, we're going to say 148,800 minus 425,300. And then we get a net figure of positive 108, positive 108,810. So if you get a negative figure, you leave it in brackets. So we move on to the next part. We are now saying 159,750 minus 380,100. And we are going to get a net figure of positive again, 117,435. So those are the ones that we have. And of course, we are supposed to look for opening balances in the first month. And so if you go back to the initial cash budget that was wrong, it had 250,450 as the opening balance. So if you go to additional information, there's nothing that is correcting that. So with that, the assumption that is made is that the figure that we are given here is correct. So we take 250,450 as the opening balance of July. So we come here, we are saying 250. $450,450. And then with that, the opening balance, we are supposed to show it as a negative. So we can put it in brackets. We are supposed to show it as a negative. So we are going to say 44,405 minus 250,450, and you get a negative 206,405. And this negative, we are supposed to leave it in brackets, so that it's a negative, and it comes here as a negative 206,405. So we show it in brackets. Then we are going to say 108,810 minus 206,405. Then we get again a negative 97,235. So it comes again here as a negative Here's the opening balance of the next month. When you say 117,435 minus 97,235, you now get a positive, which is the final balance. Positive 20,200, which is the final balance. So this is what we guys are putting in this video. On the preparation of the cash budget and obviously on the calculation of receipts from debtors. Thank you for listening and hopefully the video was helpful. Let's not forget to subscribe and share to our channel and share the link to our colleagues who are doing cost and management accounting in 6. Let's meet again in the next video. As for this video, I'm out.